So good morning once again, and a warm welcome to you all, and thank you for joining on time as well. As part of our commitment, we want to stick to time and make sure that we do this in 45 minutes, tops an hour. So we dig right in. So forms is a very simple, powerful, but unfortunately highly underrated business tool within your Microsoft 365 subscription. And as part of we've always mentioned that the masterclass that the Microsoft 365 application suite is born out of rich research, and it's supposed to each solve a particular business need. Now, you can call the Microsoft Forms as a decision catalyst. I believe last time when we were on the masterclass, we treated Planner, which we said is a strategic imperative in that you're able to get good focus on all your strategic goals. You're able to assign tasks that inure to achieving them. You're able to review on progress, and you're able to have a dashboard or one single pane view of whatever every team member is doing. Now, the forms is a further in this process as it's able to help you have quick turnaround in business decisions. Let me give you a very simple example so that it brings it home. Assuming that you are in an organization and need to make a decision about printing T-shirts for all your colleagues, there are some basic questions that comes to mind. What size, what color, and what size, what color? If you are coordinating among 5 departments, it will take a week. And sometimes a department is dragging, you are not getting in contact with some people and all that. But we're just creating a simple form. At the click of a button, it gets sent to everyone. And within 30 to 1 hour tops, you have all your information, and you have a graph that shows what number of color you get, the sizes, and the various segregation in terms of the number for this. So forms, you can call it a decision catalyst, as I said. I don't want to take too much of your time. Our main focus is not just to run you through the app, but also to bring to bear the business cases so that when we are off, you're able to relate, and also for easy adoption. I did a lot of write-up when I sent the synopsis, and I think that it's captured all the areas that will be needed as far as your function or your work is concerned. So I went through as managers, as team leaders, the fact that you need feedback, you need to conduct performance evaluation. I also went through for human resource professionals. The sales team also need the survey and also need to get insight from customer feedback and all that. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I'll hand over to Obed, then we can delve into the training. Thank you very much, and stay tuned. Before Obed comes in, just on ground rules, if you have any questions, kindly put them in the comment section. I will respond immediately. If there's anything we need to show when the presentation is over, he'll pick up on those questions and make sure that they are properly addressed. Thank you very much. Just give me thumbs up if it's clear and you are hearing us so that I can hand over and be sure that we don't have any technical hitch with any of the team members. Okay, thumbs up. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Obed, kindly take over.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Teto, for the introduction. Okay. So a very good morning to you all, and you are welcome to today's training session on forms. As Teto said, forms is a very versatile tool that is designed to simplify the process of creating surveys, quizzes, and forms. Now, whether you're a professional or you are just getting started with the M365 platform, you are in for an engaging and an informative session. Okay, so why Microsoft 365 Forms? Now, in today's fast-paced world, effective communication, data collection, and feedback mechanisms are crucial for organizational success. And Microsoft 365 Forms offers a user-friendly platform that empowers you to effortlessly create and customize these forms that are tailored to your specific needs. Now I'll be sharing my screen shortly. So please let me know when you can see my screen. You can just give a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Now, so from gathering customer feedback to streamlining internal processes within the organization, Forms is able to provide a solution that is both powerful and accessible by all. Okay. Now, as Mr. Tete started, he was trying to mention some of the use cases that we have available. Now, there are a lot more to Forms than what he mentioned. But because we can't state all of them, we've also grouped them into these 5 major points that we have here that we'll be looking at shortly. So I call this the M365 Forms capabilities. And we can see the first one being the stay in touch with customers. So definitely as organizations where we have some partners, we have some clients we work with on the external level. Now, if we need to be able to collect customer feedback of the services that you are providing or the products that you are delivering to these customers, a very good way to gather all those data is by creating your forms and then sharing those forms with these customers. Now, a good thing with the forms is that you are able to embed the forms into your website, thereby making it public for all. Okay, so there are a lot of ways you can make the forms public for your various audiences to respond to. Now, secondly, we see that we can gather employee feedback as well using forms. Now, internally, if we need to get information from the employees within the organization, definitely we can also use forms to do that rather than going to them one by one to find out what you need to get, or using a paper system where you create questionnaires on a sheet of paper and share with people so that you can gather your information. Now you're able to create polls to collect various viewpoints and to arrive at a common decision. You're also able to create surveys to ascertain employee satisfaction, to assess staff training needs, to onboard new employees, and all other internal processes. Now, thirdly, we see the impact assessment. Okay, so basically you're able to create surveys or quizzes to enforce learning within the organization. So probably after a training or after a meeting like this, you could create surveys to ascertain the level of understanding of your employees, and also to enforce organizational structure, culture adoption. Okay, so also to make sure that the employees understand the culture of the organization. Then you can also create surveys to gather feedback on policies and procedures that you create internally. Okay, so these are some use cases of using forms to impact assessment. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think on enforcing the culture, one may ask, how do you do it? So there are easy ethical questions or dilemmas that you can easily create a form to assess how ready they are, how they will respond to that, and that alone, depending on how frequent you do it, is able to enforce the culture. I think just to bring clarity.
Fourth point is the seamless integration. Okay, so with that, Forms has a cohesive and interconnected experience within the M365 ecosystem that is making it convenient for users to create, share, and analyze forms while leveraging on the capabilities of the M365 application. Now, Microsoft has been able to integrate the forms in a way that you can access it across different M365 applications, like your Excel, like your PowerPoint, like in Outlook. So you can create polls directly from an Outlook message and then share with your recipients. You can also create a form within Teams in a group that you belong to. You can easily create forms from there and then share with them. You can also create a form or a survey before, during, and after a Teams meeting. Okay, so these are some few places you can get the forms integration and easily access to them. So you realize that you have that unified experience where you can also get your audience where they are. Now, Faith, we see that we can turn the data that we collect using our forms into insights. Okay, so when we go into the application itself, we are going to see a part where the forms gives us that graphical representation of the data that we are getting from the various respondents. And we're able to make insights out of them that can help us to drive informed decision making within our organizations. Okay. Now, aside from this major point, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that because M365 is part of your subscription, you are able to access it at any point in time. And then you also don't have to spend extra money to other service providers, service providers like Google Forms and SurveyMonkey. So you're able to save some money on that level, and M365 also gives you more than some of these services that you get on the third-party solutions. Additionally, the forms also inherit your security and compliance configuration. So if you have any security policies or compliance policies running on your M365 platform as a whole, the forms application is also able to inherit those policies as well, so that your security and compliance is assured. All right, having said that, we'll now go into how to assess the forms application. Okay, so there are various ways we can access the Microsoft Forms. For those who are already on the M365 platform, you know about your apps in the portal. Okay, so you can always access your forms application from the portal by signing in into the m365.com, and then you sign in with your work credentials, and then you get access to your applications. Now, while you're in your applications, as you can see, you locate forms in here, and then you can just click to open it. Aside from that, you can access it directly using the forms URL, which is forms.office.com. Okay. Office.com. It will take you straight to the forms platform. Because I'm already signed in, it takes me straight to the page, but usually you have to now sign in with your work credentials. Now note that forms is not just for organizations, or it's not just part of your subscriptions. You can use it on an individual level. All you need is a Microsoft free account or a Microsoft account, and you can sign in and then use forms for free. Okay. Now, when you open the application, it brings you to this landing page, as we can see here. Okay. All right. Now we see that all the buttons here are a bit straightforward to the point. Now we see the new form, which you can use to create our forms. We see the new quiz button here as well. Now, the main difference between the two is that with the new quiz, you're able to set up an automatic marking system, whereby for every question you create, you're able to attach a score to it, and then at the end of the form, when the respondents respond to it and then they submit it, they get their automatic scores attached to it. Okay, so that's what you get with the new the quiz option here. Aside from that too, you're able to get some other options to create some mathematical questions in here that you wouldn't get from the forms. Okay, so those are the major differences in here. Now we also see the button to quick import. Now this option is for those who have the questionnaire or survey on a document. Okay, a Word document. It could be a Word or a PDF document. Once you have it, you can just pick it up from the location you have that document, and then import it into Forms. And then Forms is going to create a questionnaire out of it for you. So all you have to do is to just edit it to your taste, and then you can share it from there. Now you also see below that we can find some templates here that can give us a head start into creating our form. Now we see that by going to the view all, we can see a lot more of the templates that you have here that you can just click on it and then customize it to how you want it. Also below, we see the recent tab here. We see it shows us all the recent activities we've done within the Forms application. We also see My Forms, where you see the forms that you have created. And then you see the filled form. So after filling after responding to a form, you can actually save your response and then view them later. Okay, so if you've saved any of those forms, when you come here, you should be able to locate those forms. Now, as part of the Forms application, you're able to collaborate with your colleagues on a particular form that you are creating. So if you have any of those forms shared with you, you can actually open them up under this shared with me option here, and then you can work on it together with your colleagues. Also, we see the favorites tab here, where any form marked as favorite, it will come to this area, and then you can have a quick access to it. Now, for every form that is created, we see the three dots on the right-hand side. So it gives you some options in here. So we see we can open, we see we can copy the form, and we see we can mark as favorites here. So by marking it as favorites, it sends it to the favorite option, and then you have it there. Okay. Now we are going to look at creating a new form from scratch. So we choose that option on here. Okay. Now, before we create our form, let's look at the options we have at the top. Now, on the closer to the left-hand side, we see that we are currently in the questions area. So because we are here to set up the form, we are under the question area. And then we also see responses. So here is where you get your real-time responses from the respondents. And then heading to the right-hand side, we see the preview button here. So the preview just gives you a view of what you are working on as and when. Okay, so by this, you're able to see how your form is looking. And then you also get a mobile view as well. So you can see how it's looking on the mobile. And then if you need to do any changes, you can go ahead and do that. Now we see the style option here as well. So under the style, we're able to change the look and feel of our form. Now, when you open the style area, you see some AI generated backgrounds and then set customizations here. Okay, so you can just look through and choose any one that works for the form you are creating. Other than that, you can also come down and then choose a solid color that probably works with the theme that you are trying to give your background. Okay, so we see some few solid colors here. If you need to see more options, you have the view all, and then you see some more. Here we see the video backgrounds that we can also apply to the form that we are trying to create. Now, if you want to add your own customized theme, you can do that by clicking on the plus, and then you can come over and then upload. If it's an image, you can upload it with this option. Once you click on it, you have the option to pick it from the location that you have it. And then you also have the customized color that you want. So if you need to use a specific color code, you can also input it from that option. Okay, now you also see that we can add a background music to the form that we are creating. That is more of a fun feature in there. Okay. Now you also see the button to collect responses at the top here. So here's where you go and generate the link to this form, and then you share with your audience to respond to it. Now we see the present button here that gives you a live presentation of your responses. The responses that you collect, you're able to view it in a presentation form, basically. Okay. Now you also see the three dots here. So by clicking on it, we see some more options here we'll be looking at later. Okay. Now we'll go back to the questions area because we are yet to set up our form. For the purpose of this training, we are going to create an IT onboarding form. Okay, so this is with the assumption that we create IT services for our clients. And as part of our services, we onboard our clients onto our platform by getting some information from them to set them up on our platform. Okay, so we are going to start by giving our form a title. So let's do IT onboarded form. Okay, and then we can add our description in here, a short one to give them a background of what the data we are trying to get on here. Okay, so you have your description here. Now we also see that we can actually insert an image here. So if you need to add your logo, your company logo, or any image at all that you want to add in here, you can click on it and then just locate the file to upload. Okay. Now there are different kind of questions that we can create within our forms. We'll be looking at all of them in the next set of questions that we are going to create. Now, in creating a form, I want to collaborate with a colleague. Okay, so I want to give access to a colleague because we've been tasked to do this together. And instead of working on it and then giving it over to him to also work on his part, we would want to probably work on it together. Now to do that, I can just come to the three dots in here where you have the more options there. And we see the collaborate or duplicate option here. Okay. So by clicking on it, we have the option to create a link for the collaboration or for the template. Now, if it's just a template, they are going to get a copy of the form I'm going to create on here, and then they can also create their form using that template. But then if you give them the link to collaborate, they get access to this form directly, and then they also get the responses to the form as well. Okay, so by clicking on it, I can generate the link, and then I'll copy it, and then I'll share it with my colleague on here. Okay, a minute. Okay. So now to add a question, to add a question to it, we have to be sure of which response we need in order to determine which question we are trying to set. Okay. So for my form, the first question is going to be a text question because we want to know their first name. Okay, so the first question. Okay. Now we realize that you can see this icon here, a circle with the KG in it. So there's the colleague I shared my form with, and we can see he's in here currently. And as and when I'm working, he can also be making input as well. Now, for every question tile that you create, there are some options you have in there. So we have the first question, and then we see that we can copy this question. So after creating this question, if you need to create a similar question to that, you can copy it here, and then it's just going to create the same kind of question below, and then you can just edit it to how you want it. Now with the bin icon here, you can just delete the question that you don't want to create again. You have that, and then we see some arrows here that are currently grayed out. It helps you to just rearrange your questions. So because we have just one question, we see they are grayed out. But as and when we create the more questions, we are going to see a change on here. Okay. Now, we have the options down here to indicate. Now, because it's a text question, you can indicate if it's a short answer you are requiring from the question, or it's if it's a long one, you have it in there. But because it's just their first name, we are going to leave it to the short answer. And I also have the option to set it as required. Okay, so for required question, what it means is that until those questions are answered, you can't submit the form. Now you also see some 3 dots here that gives you more options that you can add to the question, the particular question that you are creating. So we see we can add a subtitle to it. We see we can add restrictions to it. And then we can add what we call the branching as well. We'll be looking at the branching shortly. Okay, so I see Calgariam has also added the second question. So because of time, I'll just go ahead and add all the other questions while I explain. Let me add a third question. Okay. Right, so this is also a text question. And let me move to an option question. Okay. So add new, and then you add choice question for options. And then our question is, are you the right person to send our invoices to? Now you see that once you type the question, the AI is able to give you possible options that you can add to your responses. So if you need all of them, you can just add all of them as you see here, and then you can later edit it to yes or no. Okay, and then we can also add what is the name of the invoices to send to? Okay. So there's also a text question. Paste it here. All right. Add some more questions. Okay. So there's also another text question. Okay. Now we want to add another type of question, which is the NPS, or the Net Promoter Score. So these are questions that usually has to do with ascertaining how a customer will probably recommend a service or a product to other people. Okay, so these are the kind of questions that give you this rating here that you can easily set up. So in this case, we just paste our question here. How would you rate our IT services in here? And then for this too, we have some options in here that you can look at. Now, if you don't want the options as not at all likely, you can also edit them to whichever one you want. Now, next, we are going to add a day question or a date question. Okay. So we are also asking that when would you like your new IT service to start? Now, once we choose that question, then the questionnaire changes to the date format. Okay, so here the respondent is going to input a date in here for us. Okay. Now we'll look at another kind of question that we can add in there. Okay, so we can also add what we call the Likert questions. Okay, the Likert scale is commonly used in surveys and questionnaires to measure attitude, perceptions, and usually satisfaction levels on other subjective aspects. Okay, so if you are looking for any kind of you are looking for responses on a series of statements or a series of questions, and you want to get some kind of ratings on that, on what people think about those series of questions, you can use the Likert type of question on here. So with our question, we are saying, how would you rate your business IT in these areas? And then we are going to input the various areas that we are looking at. at the statements section. So come here, M365 usage, cybersecurity. Okay. Then we have our business collab. Let's do this 3. Okay. Okay, so I think this is enough. Now we can also set our rating question in here as well. Okay, so let's copy and paste. All right. Now our form is created. We have all our questions set. Yes. Now we want to look at the branching feature in here. So branching is just a way of redirecting the respondents to a different set of questions based on a response they give to a previous question or a specific question. Okay, so in this case, we want to create a branching on the question 4. All right, which says that, are you the right person to send our invoices to? So in this case, we click on the question, come to the options, and then come to add branching. Now we are saying that if you are the one, if it's yes, then you just go to the next question, which is the question 7. But then we say if not, then you should go to the next question, which is question 5. Okay. So with this, what it means is that once we get to number 4, anyone who responds to the question is going to have a different interaction on that level. Okay. So with our branching done, we'll go ahead and go back to our form. Now we want to look at some settings you can apply on this form that we've created. So you come back to the 3 dots that we saw earlier, you come to settings. And because we want to make this form available to everyone, we can change the settings from people within our organization to anyone can respond. Now, you see that you can accept responses, you can start date, end time, so end date, sorry. So if you have a specific time period you want to use to collect those data, you can set all these options here. You can also set a duration that people will use to answer their questions. So if you set, for example, 5 minutes, it means once the person opens the form, they have 5 minutes to finish filling the form. Otherwise, it will be submitted automatically as a response. Then we see that you can also shuffle the questions for every respondent in there. So these are some of the options that you can look at in here. Okay. So once you're okay with the setup, you can now come to the collect responses area. And here is where you generate the link to share with people to respond to this form. So because we said anyone can respond, it's already selected here for us. And then now we can go ahead to this area where we have the link. So we see that this is the link to the form that we can share with our audience to fill. Now you can shorten the URL first and then get a shorter version and then share with people. Now I'll put this in the chat area so that we can quickly fill this form, and then we'll take a look at the respondent area. Okay. So I just dropped the link to the chat area. Kindly take some 2 minutes to fill that area for me. You don't have to use your raw data or raw information. Okay, just fill it out for me so that we get a number of responses in there. Okay. Now with the next option, we're able to send the form directly to people, to a group on Teams, to a chat area channel. You can send to Outlook. You can send it to people via email on Outlook. Okay, so you have all those options to send the form directly to your respondents. Now we also see the QR code option here. You can download this QR code and share with people, and you can use this QR code to access the forms. So usually when you go for your events and stuff like that, you can just print it out and it's there. People come, they just scan it, and then they have access to your forms. Now I made mention earlier that you can embed this form into your website, and so if you have any intention to do that, you can copy the code here and then you can do that from here. Okay. Now I see that there is one response in here. So when you switch to the responses area, okay, now we see the number of responses we have, and then it's able to generate an average time to complete the form. So we can tell that we can tell the time people are using to fill the form. We see that the form is still currently active in here. Now you realize that we are getting information in real time. As and when people are responding, it gets updated in real time for you. Okay. And then this is just a summary of the responses that we have in here. So I mentioned the graphical representation in here that you have. So we realize that you can just get insights from here to make all those your quick decisions that you need to take in there. Okay, so these are all the summaries to it. Okay, so you can just view this page for all that information. Now, if you need to view a specific or you want to go into details as to who said what, you can go to the view results and then you can pick the respondents one after the other, okay, to view your or to generate your insights. Okay, so you have that option here as well. We'll just go back. Now we see that as and when they are responding, you can open in Excel. Okay, now with this option, you're able to, it opens an Excel page for you that you can get all the data in there in a form of Excel. Now, if you don't want to open it on the browser, you can also download or print the summary that you have in here. Okay, so by clicking on it, it opens the Excel for you, it downloads it for you as well. Okay. All right. So now let's look at the few other options that we have, and then we can call it a day. Now, if you are still interested in printing your form, you need a hard copy of the form to share with people to also get their responses. You have that option here with the print form that you have here. So by clicking on it, you're able to print it and then share with your audience. You can also set up your form in other
Just
languages.
shouting here that is so counterproductive. Take us through a digital project only to print it. Anyways, that's great.
Yeah, so you also have the option to translate your forms from English generally to other languages. That's if you know that your respondents are also maybe familiar with other languages, you can set it up in that level where you have to translate all your questions into other languages and make it accessible to all. Okay. I think having said that, you can just look at the present view that I mentioned earlier here. So you get a presentation view of the responses that we get in here. Okay. So this brings us to the end of Microsoft Forms.
Thank you very much, Obed. I believe strongly that Microsoft Forms is not completely new, but as to the depth and the functionality is where most of our clients do not appreciate. So thank you, Obed, for bringing all the other sides of the coin to bear. Now, what he demonstrated, I just want to bring it home. Like I said, we just don't want to run you through the app, but we also want to bring some use cases so that you can easily apply at your workplace. So let's say you are in the banking sector, you need to do a KYC or either redesign or do it digital, and you need to work between, say, legal has questions, the business or operation unit also have questions, maybe the accounts have questions, and maybe the customer service. Like he demonstrated that it can be collaborated among team members. This form could be generated and shared by all the responsible members of this team, so that all of you are working simultaneously on this form. And before you know, and like it also demonstrated, you can segment the various questionnaires so that you see a segment for legal, you see a segment for operation, see a segment for account, see a segment for customer service, and all of you collaborate within a space of maybe 30 to 1 hour. Your form is ready, and whoever needs to do the various review does it. And in, say, a turnaround of a day or two, your business form is ready. And this is what we are trying to emphasize. It is a decision catalyst. He also mentioned about the fact that you are able to have impact assessments like we rightly did. This could also be a survey to pick how the training went, and all your responses will be gathered live as is also demonstrated. One other thing he also mentioned is that it also enforces culture. And I said if there are ethical issues that you want to emphasize within the organization, all you need to do is to have either a monthly forms distributed to employees, and as they respond, they could, like he also pointed out, a function that is able to let you know what response was supposed to be, as in the right response. So you get it marked prompt, and that could also even come with some comments to say that the correct answer is A. It is A because of X, Y, Z. So we always want to keep to our 1 hour, and I think that, like I said, form is a very simple but very powerful tool, as is demonstrated. I believe that forms, if you know how to use it, it can take over the Survey Monkey, the very complex survey tools that we use. In at least I know of Survey Monkey, I know of the Google Docs. You don't need to look elsewhere for anything concerning survey, quizzes, quick response. Your Microsoft Forms with some other tools could be something very complex. I saw a question from I think Shadrach, where he asked whether can we do more complex logic beyond what the branching does? And I think the response was the fact that we can actually use another Microsoft tool within your Microsoft 365 called Microsoft List and Power Automate. So Power Automate is also a platform where you're able to actually, you could say it's a mini coding platform, and you're able to do a lot of complex things. So it's all about you knowing the potential of the tool and you talking with specialists. And this could be a very, very huge and powerful business tool, which will enhance your communication internally and externally. Thank you very much for your time. And we want to close the curtains. I don't see any more questions, but we are done for today. We'll stay on for a while. If there are any further questions, you can quickly post and we'll respond. We'll stay on until 11:30, which is 15 minutes from now. So today we're able to do it in just 45 minutes, and we thank you very much for the audience. And stay tuned for our next masterclass, which hopefully we'll do next month, just around the same time. Now we're finding a pattern, and possibly we want to do this the third Thursday of every month. So please stay tuned, and we'll send you the notification when the time comes. Thank you so much. And I think it will be appropriate to give some thumbs up to Obed for the good job done.